This tomato weighs over 1.5 pounds. No fertilizer from a bag, no pesticide spray, no chemicals whatsoever. And the family who grew it, they've been doing it this way for over 100 years. I'm talking about the Amish, and today I'm going to show you exactly how they grow the biggest, most flavorful tomatoes most Americans have never tasted. 8 secrets, all natural, all proven across generations. And I'll warn you right now, secret number 7 is the weirdest one on this list. It smells awful, and it might be the single most effective thing you can do for your tomato plants all season. So stay with me. Trench planting. Most people dig a hole straight down, drop the seedling in, and call it a day. The Amish do something that looks completely wrong the first time you see it. They lay the plant sideways. Instead of digging deep, they dig a shallow trench, maybe 4 to 6 inches deep, and they lay the entire seedling horizontally in that trench. Then they cover almost the whole stem with soil, leaving just the top few leaves sticking out above ground. The first time I watched someone do this, I genuinely thought they were killing the plant. They weren't. Here's what actually happens. Tomato stems have the ability to grow roots from any point that's buried in soil. When you plant vertically in a deep hole, you get one root ball at the bottom. When you plant horizontally in a trench, you get roots forming all the way along the buried stem. Sometimes 12–15 inches of root development that a vertically planted seedling will never have. More roots means more water uptake, more nutrient absorption, a stronger, more anchored plant. And here's something most gardeners don't know. Shallow soil warms up faster than deep soil in early spring. So your trench-planted tomatoes are sitting in warmer soil right from the start, which gives them an earlier, stronger kick into the growing season. This one technique alone will change the way you plant tomatoes forever. I promise you that. If you're finding this useful and you want more content like this real, practical gardening knowledge that actually works, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who want to grow better food. I appreciate every single one of you. Eggshells at planting. Before you put a single seedling in the ground, the Amish crush eggshells and place them at the bottom of the planting hole. This isn't a folktale. There's real science behind it. Crushed eggshells are almost pure calcium carbonate, and calcium is one of the most critical nutrients for tomato development specifically. It prevents a problem called blossom end rot. If you've ever grown tomatoes and seen that ugly black sunken patch on the bottom of the fruit, that's blossom end rot. It's caused by calcium deficiency, and it ruins perfectly good tomatoes. The Amish don't buy calcium supplements from a garden store. They collect eggshells all winter long. Every breakfast, every baked good, every egg, the shells go into a bucket. By spring, they have enough to treat every plant in the garden. Now, here's my personal recommendation on this one. Don't just crush them coarsely, really grind them down. The finer the pieces, the faster they break down in the soil and start feeding your plants. I use a rolling pin. Some people use a food processor. Either works. As a bonus, and this is something most people don't mention, the sharp edges of crushed eggshells are a natural deterrent for cutworms. These are the pests that chew through the base of young seedlings overnight. You plant your tomatoes, you go to bed excited, and in the morning, half of them are gone. Eggshells around the stem create a physical barrier that cutworms don't like to cross. 2 problems solved, $0 spent. This is exactly the kind of solution the Amish have always been good at. Companion planting, the 3-plant guild. The Amish don't just grow tomatoes. They grow tomatoes with specific neighbors that protect them, feed the soil, and even improve the flavor of the fruit. The combination they use most is marigolds, basil, and carrots. Let me break down why each one matters. Marigolds, plant these between your tomato rows. The scent that marigolds release into the soil actually repels nematodes, microscopic worms that attack and damage tomato roots underground. Above ground, the same scent confuses flying pests trying to locate your tomato plants. At the same time, marigold flowers attract bees and other pollinators that your tomatoes desperately need. Basil. Plant basil close to your tomatoes within a foot or 2. I was genuinely skeptical about this one until I did a side-by-side test in my own garden. The tomatoes growing next to basil tasted noticeably better. There's research suggesting basil releases compounds that improve the flavor profile of nearby tomatoes. It also deters hornworms, which are one of the most destructive tomato pests in American gardens. Carrots, this one surprises people. Carrots planted near tomatoes work as a natural soil loosener. Their roots break up compacted soil and create channels that tomato roots can follow deeper into the ground. They're doing underground work that benefits the whole planting bed. Together, these three plants create what experienced gardeners call a guild, a community of plants that protect and support each other. No sprays, no chemical pest control, just smart planting design. All right, we're halfway through, and I want to make sure you stick around because the next three secrets are where things get really interesting. Secret number 5 involves something most Americans throw straight in the trash every single week. And if you've been doing that, you're going to feel like you've been leaving money on the table. Also, before we keep going, I want to ask you something simple. Drop a tomato emoji in the comments right now. I read every single comment on this channel, and I want to know how many of you are here because you actually want to grow your own food this season. It takes 2 seconds, and it tells me a lot about who's watching. Go ahead. I'll be here when you get back. Deep straw mulching. After the Amish transplant their tomato seedlings and the plants are established, they apply a thick layer of straw around the base of each plant. And when I say thick, I mean thick, 6 to 8 inches deep. Most American gardeners who mulch at all put down maybe 2 inches. The Amish use 3 or 4 times that. Here's why it matters so much. First, moisture retention. A 6-inch straw layer dramatically slows evaporation from the soil surface. In the middle of an American summer, when soil temperatures can get extremely high, that moisture layer is the difference between a plant that's thriving and a plant that's fighting for survival. I've watched Amish gardeners go 4 or 5 days without watering in July, not because they're neglecting their plants, but because the mulch is doing the work for them. Second, weed suppression. At 6 to 8 inches deep, almost nothing germinates underneath. The Amish spend their time harvesting, not weeding. Third, and this one took me a while to appreciate, straw slowly breaks down over the growing season. As it decomposes, it feeds soil microorganisms that create a healthier underground ecosystem for your tomato roots. One important detail, keep the straw a few inches away from the main stem. You don't want it directly against the plant base because that can trap moisture and cause rot right where you least want it. This is one of the most underused techniques in American home gardening, and I genuinely don't understand why. It's cheap, it's easy, and the results are immediate. Fish scrap fertilizer. I told you this was the one most Americans are throwing away. Here's what the Amish do. When they fish, and many Amish communities fish regularly, they don't throw away the heads, bones, and scraps. They bury them about 12 inches below where they're going to plant their tomatoes. They bury fish scraps in the soil, then they plant on top. As the fish material breaks down underground, it releases a slow, steady stream of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals directly into the root zone. It's a timed release fertilizer that works all season long, and it costs nothing if you fish or almost nothing if you buy scraps from a fish market. I know what you're thinking. Won't it smell? Won't it attract animals? At 12 inches deep, odor is not an issue, and I've never had a problem with animals digging it up when it's buried that deep. My friend Jacob, who farms with an Amish community in Pennsylvania, told me something that stuck with me. He said, "In our community, fishing and farming have always been the same thing. The water feeds the land." That's a philosophy that commercial agriculture completely abandoned, and the results show in the soil. Now, if you're watching this and you've been thinking about subscribing, this is the moment because I have a follow-up video coming where I do a full soil test comparing fish scrap fertilizer versus commercial synthetic fertilizer. And the results are genuinely shocking. You don't want to miss that. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when that drops. It's coming soon. Wood ash from your fireplace. If you have a wood-burning fireplace or a fire pit, you have been throwing away free fertilizer every single winter. The Amish collect hardwood ash from oak, maple, hickory, and metal buckets throughout the cold months. When spring comes, they spread a light dusting of that ash around their tomato plants. Wood ash is rich in potassium, which is one of the primary nutrients tomatoes need for fruit development. It also contains calcium and raises the pH of acidic soil. Most American garden soil leans slightly acidic, and tomatoes prefer a pH between 6 and 6.8, slightly acidic but closer to neutral. A light application of wood ash can nudge the pH in exactly the right direction. Here's my strong recommendation on this one. And I mean strong. Use it sparingly. A thin dusting around each plant is all you need. More is not better here. Too much wood ash makes the soil too alkaline, which will actually lock out the nutrients your tomatoes need. I've seen gardeners overdo this and wonder why their plants look sick. It's the ash. Thin dusting, that's the rule. Also, only use ash from clean hardwood. Never use ash from treated wood, plywood, or anything with paint or chemicals. That ash can contain compounds you absolutely do not want in your vegetable garden. We've covered the foundation, the planting, the protection. Now we're getting to what happens during the growing season. And this is where the Amish really separate themselves from every modern gardening approach I've seen. Comfrey tea. Comfrey is a plant, a large, leafy, fast-growing herb that Americans have never heard of. The Amish grow it specifically to feed their tomatoes, and they make a fertilizer from it that is, frankly, more effective than anything I've purchased at a garden store. Here's how they make it. They fill a large bucket with comfrey leaves packed in tightly. Then they add water. Then they wait 2 weeks. What comes out of that bucket is a dark, thick, absolutely horrible-smelling liquid that is loaded with potassium, nitrogen, and phosphorus. It's basically a homemade, organic, slow-release tomato fertilizer that you can make for free if you grow comfrey in a corner of your yard. To use it, you dilute it about 1 part comfrey liquid to 10 parts water, and you pour it around the base of your tomato plants every 2 to 3 weeks during flowering and fruiting. The results are not subtle. Plants fed with comfrey tea produce noticeably more flowers, and more flowers means more tomatoes. My Amish neighbor, I'll call her Sarah, has a dedicated comfrey patch just for this purpose. Her tomato yields are consistently double what you'd expect from the same square footage. I know the smell is a real barrier for some people. I get it. But here's my honest take as someone who's gardened for a long time. If you're serious about growing food naturally, you need to get comfortable with the fact that the most effective natural processes often don't smell pleasant. Compost, fish scraps, comfrey tea, none of them smell good. All of them work. Plant comfrey once, and it comes back every year. It's a perennial. You're setting up a free fertilizer source for the rest of your gardening life. Hand pollination. This is the last secret, and it's the one that surprises people the most because it doesn't involve soil or fertilizer or planting technique. It's about what you do while the plant is flowering. Tomato flowers are self-pollinating, which means each flower contains both male and female parts. But for pollination to happen, the pollen needs to be physically moved, and in nature, that happens through vibration. Bees create a buzzing vibration when they visit flowers that shakes the pollen loose and transfers it within the flower. This is called buzz pollination. The Amish, who have spent generations observing their plants closely, figured out that you can simulate this yourself. Around midday, when temperatures are warm and pollen is most active, they walk through the tomato rows with a small stick and gently tap each flowering cluster. Just a light tap. The vibration does the same job that a bee's buzzing does. Sarah does this every other day during flowering season. It takes her maybe 15 minutes to walk the whole row. And her fruit set, meaning the percentage of flowers that actually become tomatoes, is dramatically higher than plants left to chance. I tested this in my own garden during a rainy summer when bee activity was low. The plants I hand-pollinated produced approximately 30% more tomatoes than the unpollinated plants in the same row. Same variety, same soil, same water, 30% more fruit from 15 minutes of gentle tapping every other day. That's the Amish mindset right there. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't rely on things outside their control. They show up, they pay attention, and they do the small things consistently. That's why their tomatoes are better. Let me bring this home for you. 8 secrets. No chemicals, no expensive equipment, no special soil from a bag. 1. Trench planting for massive root development. 2. Crushed eggshells for calcium and pest protection. 3. The 3-plant guild of marigolds, basil, and carrots. 4. Deep straw mulching for moisture and weed control. 5. Fish scrap fertilizer buried deep for season-long feeding. 6. Wood ash for potassium and pH balance. 7. Comfrey tea for explosive flowering and fruit production. 8 hand pollination for 30% more tomatoes. The Amish didn't invent these techniques. They inherited them from generations of farmers who understood that the best way to work with soil is to understand it, not override it with chemicals. The rest of us got sold a different story. Somewhere along the way, American gardening became about buying the right product instead of using the right knowledge. And the result is that most homegrown tomatoes don't taste like much. These do. My honest recommendation, don't try to implement all 8 of these at once in your first season. Pick 2 or 3. If I had to choose for you, I'd say start with trench planting, add the eggshells, and plant basil next to every tomato you put in the ground. Those 3 alone will give you a noticeably different harvest this year. The next season, add the comfrey tea and the hand pollination. Build the system over time the way the Amish built it, slowly, deliberately, with real attention to what's working. And speaking of next season, I have a video coming up where I'm testing all 8 of these methods in a controlled side-by-side comparison against a conventionally grown tomato bed, same variety, same starting conditions. Different methods, I'll document the whole season and show you the real numbers. If you want to see those results, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. That video will go to subscribers first, and I don't want you to miss it. And if this video helped you today, if you learned even one thing you're going to use in your garden this year, please hit the like button. It's the single best way to tell me this kind of content is worth making more of. It takes 1 second, and it means more than you know. I'll see you in the next one. Go grow something. If these secrets change the way you look at your garden and the food you grow, please subscribe and like the channel. We are uncovering the wisdom that modern industry has tried to bury. Let's cultivate a better future together. The next harvest of knowledge will be ready soon.